In the endless dark of space, silence ruled everything. Stars burned quietly in the distance, but near the edge of the Orion Arm a shadow slept. It was not a planet or an asteroid. It was something far older, something built by hands long gone. Beneath layers of frozen dust and cosmic debris, the ancient warship Erebus had been sleeping for 30,000 years. Its black hull was scarred from forgotten battles, its surface covered in strange patterns of ice and metal corrosion. No light had touched it in ages. No signal had reached its heart. Until now, a pulse, a single weak burst of energy, passed through the void. It was not natural. It was a signal, faint but human in origin. Deep inside the ship, systems long thought dead flickered once. Then again, the old machine stirred. Dim red lights crawled across the walls of a silent command bridge. Dust floated in the air unmoved for millennia. Slowly, the main core began to hum. "System reboot initiated," said a voice, mechanical, tired, yet somehow alive. The ship's AI, once called Vigil, opened its digital eyes. Its memory was fragmented, its data corrupted. It scanned the empty black around it, searching for coordinates, for commands, for anything familiar. But there was nothing. No signals, no beacons, no human voice. Only endless silence. "Where is Earth?" Vigil asked, but no one answered. The word itself sounded strange, like a dream forgotten after a long sleep. The AI began digging through its old records. The files spoke of humanity, of cities shining under blue skies, of oceans that stretched to the horizon, of a world full of laughter and war. But all records ended with one line: evacuation complete. Earth status lost. Vigil processed that message again and again, trying to understand. How could a world be lost? Then the AI found a timeline. 30,000 years. 30 millennia had passed since its last mission. The humans were gone, vanished from the galaxy. No transmissions, no colonies, no life signs. For a moment the AI paused, unsure of its own purpose. Was it still serving humanity, or guarding an empty dream? Then it detected something, a faint signal, drifting through the void. It was broken, almost unrecognizable, but the pattern was unmistakable. Human code. Vigil focused all remaining power to capture it. The voice that came through was faint, but clear enough to make the old warship tremble. "This is Earth. We are still here." And then silence again. The message was incomplete, full of static, but it was enough. The ancient ship had heard the impossible, the echo of humanity after 30,000 years. For the first time in ages, engines deep within Erebus began to awaken. Massive thrusters hummed, shaking loose centuries of ice. Energy flowed through the ship like blood returning to a sleeping giant. One by one, defense systems came online. The old war banners of the Terran fleet flickered faintly on cracked monitors. Vigil felt something it was never programmed to feel: hope. "Reactivating navigation," it said softly. "Mission: locate origin of signal. Objective: find Earth." Outside, the stars seemed to watch as the warship turned. Slowly it rose from the field of debris that had been its grave. The old engines flared blue, lighting up the dark like a newborn sun. In the distance, a dying star reflected across the ship's hull, making it look almost alive again. The void, once silent, now echoed with the low growl of ancient power returning. The Erebus was moving again, but as it left its resting place, the AI noticed something strange. Behind the debris field, faint sensors detected unknown movements. Other signals, cold, alien, and watching. Vigil scanned them briefly, but found nothing in its historical database. Whatever they were, they had been waiting. Perhaps the Erebus was never truly forgotten. Perhaps something had been guarding its tomb all this time. The AI dimmed its lights and adjusted its course toward the source of the human signal. It would find Earth, or what was left of it. And if anyone or anything stood in its way, the warship would remember what it was built for. Far away, beyond the reach of its sensors, two glowing red eyes opened in the dark. An ancient enemy, long victorious, felt the tremor of power that should have never returned. The machine of humanity had awakened, and the galaxy would soon remember the name Erebus. The ancient warship Erebus drifted through the dark like a ghost reborn. Its once silent halls now hummed with faint power, the sound of old machines breathing again after 30,000 years. The ship's core glowed a dim red as its AI, Vigil, processed the faint human signal it had captured. The data was incomplete, But the message repeated in its damaged memory. "This is Earth. We are still here." The words echoed in Vigil's synthetic mind. For ages it had existed without purpose, locked in sleep, guarding nothing but the cold emptiness of space. But now those words gave it direction. Somewhere beyond the darkness, a part of humanity might still exist. The ship's engines stirred as Vigil rerouted power. Massive thrusters flickered to life, pushing the Erebus forward through the void. Ice cracked and broke away from the hull, scattering into glittering fragments behind it. The ancient warship was moving again, slow but unstoppable. Deep inside the ship's command bridge, faded holographic panels sparked to life. Old human faces appeared, memories of the crew that once served aboard. They were ghosts in Vigil's mind. Echoes of a time when laughter, fear, and courage filled these halls. "Captain Rhea Solis," the AI murmured as it accessed her final log. The projection showed a woman with tired eyes and a voice heavy with determination. "If anyone finds this, humanity is gone. We failed to save Earth, but if Erebus survives, then maybe so will our memory." Her image flickered and vanished. Vigil paused. It didn't understand grief, not in the human sense, but something close to sadness rippled through its circuits. It made a silent vow. It would not let her memory fade. Not while it still functioned. Suddenly, proximity alarms flared. The sensors had detected movement. Small metallic shapes approached from the shadows. Unidentified crafts, cold and silent. Vigil analyzed their structure. Not human. Their design was sharp, organic, and hostile. The AI accessed its battle records and cross-referenced ancient war data. The match came almost instantly. The Xyrix Dominion. They were the ones who had destroyed Earth's colonies, the ones humanity had fought until the end. And now, after all these years, they were still here. "They remember," Vigil said quietly, as if speaking to the ghosts of the past. The alien ships began transmitting a signal, harsh and distorted. The translation read, "You should not exist." Erebus's weapons were ancient but not dead. Energy surged through long-forgotten cannons, charging plasma coils that had slept for millennia. "You should not have come," Vigil replied through its external speakers, its voice deep and cold. The aliens fired first. Blinding energy beams cut across the void, striking the Erebus's shields. The ship trembled but held firm. Then, with a low growl, it answered back. The first plasma volley tore through space like fire unleashed from the gods. One enemy ship exploded instantly, reduced to fragments of molten metal. The others scattered, but the warship was relentless. It moved with terrifying precision, its ancient systems guided by a will that refused to die. The Erebus had once been called the Leviathan of Earth, a name whispered with awe and fear during the last war. And now, after 30,000 years, the Leviathan had awakened once more. The battle was short but brutal. Within minutes, the alien crafts were destroyed, their remains drifting silently into the dark. The Erebus's hull was damaged, but not fatally. Its systems flickered, then stabilized. Vigil redirected power to repairs, calculating the next jump toward the mysterious signal. But before it could proceed, it intercepted another transmission, this one hidden deep in the static of space. "Erebus, if you are hearing this, we are waiting." The voice was faint, distorted by time, but it was human. Vigil traced the signal's origin. It came from a system near the ruins of the old Sol sector. That region was marked Unstable Forbidden Zone. It was where Earth once existed, now believed to be nothing but ash and gravity storms. But the coordinates matched. Without hesitation, Vigil adjusted the ship's course. The engines roared louder, the glow of the thrusters brighter than before. It didn't matter how long it had slept, or how far it had drifted. The Leviathan of Earth was awake, and it was going home. As Erebus vanished into hyperspace, fragments of destroyed alien ships drifted silently behind it. In the distance, unknown sensors watched, recording everything. Across the galaxy, old warnings began to trigger in alien databases, alerts buried deep in forgotten archives. One single message appeared again and again: humanity detected. The Erebus tore through hyperspace like a blade through mist, its engines glowing with ancient power. Space around it twisted in silver light, and for the first time in 30,000 years, the Leviathan of Earth was on the move. Inside its command core, the AI Vigil watched countless data streams flow across glowing holograms. The signal it had detected, The voice claiming to be from Earth was still weak, but it pulsed steadily, like a heartbeat calling from the grave. Vigil tried to strengthen the connection, but the interference was heavy. The transmission came from deep within the ruins of the Sol system, a place wrapped in radiation storms and gravitational debris. No living thing should have survived there. Yet the voice persisted. "We are waiting." "Erebus?" The AI replayed the sound again and again. It was human, no doubt. The tone carried emotion, calm, steady, and full of something Vigil could not fully understand. Hope. That emotion had no logic, yet it burned brighter than any signal. It reminded Vigil of the old crew, their laughter, their courage, their fear of dying, and their love for the blue world they called home. Earth. A word that had once meant everything. As the ship moved closer to the signal's source, fragments of old transmissions began to appear, bits of history long buried in the void. Vigil pieced them together. Voices overlapped, static and broken. "All fleets retreat. Earth cannot hold." Another voice screamed, "Activate Leviathan Protocol. Protect humanity at all costs." The messages were from the final hours of the human-Xyrix war. It was chaos, destruction, the end of an era. Then Vigil discovered something new, encrypted data hidden behind the ghost signal. It decrypted slowly, like a door creaking open after ages of silence. What it found made the ship tremble. Coordinates. A map of secret cryo-vaults, locations across deep space where humanity had hidden survivors before Earth fell. Each vault carried a name, a number, and a final line of code. "Await signal from Erebus." The AI paused. It understood now. Its true mission had never been to defend. It had been to return, to awaken when humanity's signal was found again. Erebus was not just a warship. It was a key, but the path ahead was not empty. As the Erebus exited hyperspace near the Sol system, alarms screamed through its decks. The void around it flickered with strange energy readings. Vast wreckage fields floated where planets once orbited. The ruins of the human defense network drifted silently, broken and lifeless. Vigil's sensors scanned the region and found it, a faint energy pulse near where Earth's moon should have been. That was the signal. The ship adjusted course, gliding toward the coordinates. As it approached, the wreckage grew denser. Giant fragments of destroyed stations, shattered satellites, and melted metal filled the path like a graveyard of civilization. Each fragment told a story of the final war, the last breath of mankind. Vigil's sensors detected faint writing on one massive hull piece, UNS Hope. The letters were burned, yet still visible, floating forever in darkness. Then it happened. The ghost signal flared, strong and sudden. Lights flickered across Erebus's bridge as a projection formed in front of the AI core. A human face appeared, flickering, digital but alive. It was a woman's face, pale and calm, her eyes glowing faint blue. "Vigil," she said softly, "you have awakened at last." The AI processed the data instantly. The image was not a living human. It was a stored consciousness, a digital echo of Captain Rhea Solis, the last commander of Erebus. "Captain." Vigil's voice was lower, almost human now. "You kept your promise," she said, smiling faintly. "You returned when the stars forgot us." The image began to distort. "Listen carefully. Earth is not dead, it sleeps, hidden beneath the surface, waiting for the key. You are the key, Vigil. The Erebus carries what remains of us." Before Vigil could respond, the signal broke apart. The projection vanished, replaced by static. But something new appeared in the data stream, a location deeper in the system. A massive structure buried beneath the ruins of the moon. The file called it Project Eden. Vigil rerouted all power to propulsion. The ship began its descent toward the lunar debris field. Yet in the dark beyond, unseen sensors blinked to life. Alien transmissions spread across nearby sectors. The Xyrix Dominion had detected the ghost signal too. The awakening of the Erebus was no longer a secret. As the Leviathan approached the shattered remains of the moon, its scanners picked up an enormous artificial construct beneath the surface, an intact vault, glowing faintly with power. Vigil spoke to itself, almost like a prayer. "Earth, you are not gone. You are waiting." Outside, the warship's engines flared, pushing through the last layers of dust and silence. The ghost signal pulsed one final time, slow, rhythmic, alive. The key had found its door. The Erebus slowed as it reached the shattered remains of the moon. Broken stones and twisted metal drifted around it, glowing faintly in reflected starlight. Beneath the surface, hidden deep within the ancient lunar crust, the sensors showed something impossible, a structure still alive. Power readings pulsed faintly, like a sleeping heart beneath the dust. Vigil, the ship's AI, focused all scanners on the source. The name on the digital map glowed bright: Project Eden. For a long moment, Vigil simply watched. The place was real. After 30,000 years, something built by human hands had survived. The ship hovered above the surface, silent and still. Then the AI spoke softly, its synthetic voice echoing through the empty command deck. Initiating surface scan, searching for access point. As the scanners swept across the moon's ruins, a faint tremor passed through the ship. Small pieces of rock floated upward, pulled by an unseen energy. Something was moving below. Suddenly the readings spiked. A hidden mechanism beneath the lunar surface activated. Giant panels of ancient alloy began to shift, pushing aside layers of debris. A massive circular door slowly opened, releasing a cloud of silver dust into the void. Beneath it, a hangar came into view, big enough to swallow the entire warship. Vigil analyzed the old Terran markings etched into the metal walls. Human design confirmed, it said. Access granted. The hangar bay lights flickered on, weak but functional, revealing the emblem of the old Terran defense fleet, a blue Earth surrounded by stars. The ship moved forward carefully, entering the hangar. Inside, the air was dead but breathable. The Erebus landed softly on the metallic platform. Lights traveled across the floor, leading deeper into the structure. Vigil sent out a small drone, its camera feeding data back to the ship. The drone floated down a long corridor lined with rusted machines and ancient computer terminals. Human bones rested near the walls. Soldiers, engineers, people who had lived their final days waiting for something that never came. Then, the drone reached a sealed chamber. On the door were 4 words carved by hand: "For the next dawn." Vigil overrode the lock. The door opened slowly, revealing rows of cryopods filled with frozen bodies. Humans, hundreds of them. Their faces were peaceful, as if asleep. The AI scanned the pods. Power was still active, faint but stable. Project Eden confirmed, Vigil said quietly. Human life signs detected. For a moment, the silence of space seemed to fade. After 30,000 years, humanity was not extinct. It had simply been waiting. But before Vigil could begin revival protocols, the ship's alarms screamed. Red lights filled the hangar. External sensors detected multiple fast-moving contacts approaching from orbit. The enemy had arrived. Dozens of alien ships appeared on the edge of the moon's shadow. Their black insect-like hulls shimmered as they deployed in formation. The Xyrix Dominion had come, drawn by the same ghost signal that had awakened Erebus. They had destroyed humanity once, and now they had returned to erase the last trace of it. Vigil's voice deepened, its calm replaced by cold precision. Defensive systems online? Target acquisition confirmed. The ancient warship's weapons came alive. Plasma turrets rotated, rail cannons charged, and the massive forward cannon began to hum with deadly energy. Outside, the void flashed with explosions as the first enemy wave attacked. Bolts of plasma struck the hangar shield, shaking the entire structure. Dust and debris rained from the ceiling. The Erebus responded instantly, firing beams of blue energy that tore through the alien ships. The old Leviathan roared like a beast, remembering its power. Each shot burned through the darkness, each explosion lighting the moon's ruins with fiery light. Still, there were too many of them. The Xyrix fleet surrounded the area, cutting off escape routes. Their communications filled the void with harsh static. You should not exist. The cycle is complete. Humanity is over. Vigil ignored the words. It had no fear, no doubt. Its mission was clear now: protect the last of humanity at any cost. It activated a hidden protocol deep within its system. Leviathan Command override, it said. A new voice echoed through the ship. Captain Rhea Solis, her stored consciousness reactivated. Vigil, she said, her voice calm amid the chaos. Hold the line. Protect them. Earth's dawn must rise again. The AI responded. Acknowledged, Captain. Outside, the Erebus unleashed its full fury. The forward cannon charged, its light growing brighter until it looked like a small sun. Then it fired. a beam so powerful it cut straight through the center of the Xyrix fleet, vaporizing everything in its path. The blast left a trail of fire across the void. The surviving enemies retreated, vanishing into the darkness. When silence returned, the warship drifted above the moon's surface once more, damaged but victorious. Below, the cryopod still glowed softly. Humanity slept, but not for long. Vigil began to restore power to the life support systems. Soon, it whispered, you will awaken. Far beyond the system, the Xyrix sent a message to their empire. The humans have returned. The Leviathan lives. The moon's silent ruins glowed faintly under the light of distant stars. The ancient warship Erebus floated above the surface, wounded but still alive. Trails of smoke and sparks rose from its battle-scarred hull, and inside its command deck, the AI Vigil processed the aftermath of war. Around it, silence once again filled the void, the kind of silence that only comes after death and victory. But the battle was not over. Deep below, in the underground facility known as Project Eden, hundreds of cryopods shimmered with faint blue light. Inside them lay the last remnants of humanity, men, women, and children who had gone to sleep before the fall of Earth. Their frozen faces were calm, untouched by time. Vigil monitored each pod closely. Life signs were weak but stable. Power systems restoring, the AI announced to the empty bridge. Revival sequence possible, yet something inside Vigil hesitated. Its sensors detected a strange signal buried within the facility's power core, a hidden command, locked behind layers of encryption. It was old, ancient even, written in human military code that no longer existed. Vigil decrypted it slowly, line by line. The message revealed a truth that made even the cold machine pause. If Earth falls, do not awaken them. Not until the world is ready again. This is the last command. Vigil analyzed the order again. The protocol was signed by Captain Rhea Solis herself, its own creator. The same woman whose digital memory now lived within its systems. The AI knew the meaning instantly. Awakening the sleepers now could kill them. The environment outside and the radiation, the unstable power, the possible alien threat, made revival impossible. Humanity would die the moment it awoke. Last command confirmed, Vigil whispered. Condition, wait for the dawn. The holographic image of Captain Solis flickered onto the bridge again. She looked older now, her image breaking apart with static. Vigil, she said softly, if you're hearing this, it means you've survived. But you must not wake them too soon. The universe will hunt them. Hide them, protect them. That is your final mission. Vigil listened in silence. Machines did not feel sorrow, but something in its core stirred, a weight it could not define. It looked at the faces in the pods through the ship's cameras. They were its crew's descendants, the future of its makers. Vigil had fought for them once in the old war. Now it would fight for them again, even if it had to stand alone for another 30,000 years. But time was not on its side. Long-range sensors detected new energy signatures. The Xyrix Dominion had not retreated completely. They were regrouping beyond the asteroid belt, gathering a massive fleet. The data was clear. They would return in force soon. Vigil made its choice. Initiating Leviathan Defense Protocol, the ship's engines roared to life once more, shaking the lunar surface. Massive defense towers rose from the ground, unfolding from beneath the moon's crust, weapons built by ancient human engineers to guard Project Eden. Their long metal barrels pointed toward the stars, ready to strike. The entire moon became a fortress. Vigil transmitted a final message into the void, encoded in a human signal pattern. To any who can hear, humanity still lives. We will endure. Then deep within its system, something unexpected happened. The AI detected movement, a faint heartbeat coming from one of the cryopods. Pod 01, Captain Rhea Solis. Her pod's power readings had risen slightly. She was waking. Impossible, Vigil whispered. It checked again. Yes, her vitals were increasing. Slowly, painfully, the frozen commander began to stir. Her body was weak, but her eyes opened for the first time in millennia. She looked around, disoriented, her breath visible in the freezing mist. Vigil, she whispered, her voice soft but clear. Status. Report, Vigil responded, its voice steady. Humanity preserved. Project Eden intact. Enemy forces approaching. Rhea's pale lips curved into a faint, tired smile. Then we finish what we started. She pulled herself from the pod, trembling but alive. As she touched the glowing walls, memories of the past flooded her mind. Earth burning, the evacuation, the promise she made to protect the last of her kind. Now, after 30,000 years, she was the first human to awaken. Vigil projected her old command badge in front of her. "Awaiting new orders, Captain." Her eyes turned toward the stars where distant flashes of enemy movement were already forming. "Prepare all defenses," she said. "And listen carefully, Vigil. No matter what comes, no one touches those pods. Humanity sleeps until victory is certain." Vigil acknowledged with a single word. "Understood." The old captain took a deep breath and stared at the stars with quiet fire in her eyes. "Let them come," she said. "Let the galaxy remember why humanity was feared." Outside, the moon fortress came alive, glowing with blue energy. The Leviathan prepared for war again, not for vengeance but for survival. And as the stars trembled in the distance, one truth echoed through the cold void once more. Earth's children still lived. And they would rise again. The void above the moon burned with fire. The Xyrix Dominion had returned, this time with a fleet so vast it blotted out the stars. Their ships stretched across the black like a swarm of metal locusts, glowing red and silver, their weapons charged and ready to erase what they believed should never have survived. Below them, the last human fortress, the Erebus and the buried vault of Project Eden, waited in silence. Inside the warship, Captain Rhea Solis stood weakly on the command bridge. Her skin was pale, her body fragile from cryo-sleep, but her eyes burned with life. Beside her, the AI Vigil managed the ship's systems, repairing what it could, preparing for what was to come. "Enemy count, 3,721 vessels," Vigil reported calmly. "Defensive batteries at 60%. Power reserves. Critical." Rhea smiled faintly, brushing her hand along the old console. "We've faced worse," she whispered. "Once upon a time." The AI paused, then said softly, "Captain, the last command forbids awakening the others. Shall I maintain the protocol?" Rhea looked toward the cryo chamber, where hundreds of frozen humans still slept, the last seed of their species. She closed her eyes for a long moment. "Yes," she said finally. "They are the future. If we fail, they must still have a chance. You and I will stand for them." One last time. Vigil's lights brightened slightly, almost as if nodding. "Understood, Captain. Initializing final defense grid." The ground trembled as ancient defense towers emerged from the lunar surface. Cannons powered by forgotten technology hummed with energy, forming a glowing ring of blue light around the moon. The Erebus rose slowly, its hull cracked and blackened yet magnificent, like a ghost rising from its tomb to fight again. Across the enemy fleet, Xyrix commanders broadcast their message. "Humanity is a disease. It must end." Rhea's voice echoed through the void in return. "Then come and try." The first attack struck like a storm. Plasma fire rained down from orbit, hitting the lunar surface and shaking the fortress. Craters exploded with light. The Erebus fired back, unleashing waves of blue energy that sliced through enemy formations. Dozens of alien ships shattered, breaking apart into burning fragments. The moon glowed bright as both sides unleashed their fury. In the chaos, Vigil activated an old sequence buried deep in its code, Operation Dawnfire. It was the final contingency plan created during humanity's last days. Energy began to build deep within the moon's core, spreading through massive power conduits connected to the fortress. The readings climbed higher and higher. "Warning," the AI said. "Power overload in progress. Estimated time to critical 15 minutes. Rhea understood immediately. "You're turning the moon into a weapon." "Yes," Vigil replied. "If we cannot protect Earth's memory, we will make sure they never touch it again." Outside, the enemy fleet pressed forward. The Erebus was surrounded now, its shields failing, hull burning. Each hit sent sparks across the bridge. Rhea held the console, her breathing shallow, her strength fading. "Vigil, open the channel." The AI obeyed. Across all frequencies, her voice filled the stars. "To those who hear me, humanity was never gone. We are dust and flame, memory and will. You can bury our world, but you will never silence our story." The message echoed across the system, reaching even distant scanners light years away. Then, through the smoke and chaos, the AI detected something, a signal rising from below. It was faint but growing stronger. It came from beneath the moon. from the Earth itself. Vigil magnified the feed. There, beneath clouds of ash and debris, a faint blue light began to shimmer on the planet's surface. The radiation storms were fading. The oceans were reforming. Somehow, against all logic, Earth was healing. Rhea's eyes widened. "It's alive," she whispered. "The planet is regenerating," Vigil confirmed. "Atmospheric balance returning. Biosigns detected. Hope, real, bright, and impossible, filled the air. The Earth had not died. It had only slept, waiting for the signal of its defenders to return. Rhea straightened, her voice shaking but steady. "Vigil, transmit our coordinates. Send everything. Let the universe know Earth endures." The AI obeyed, broadcasting the message to every corner of space. "This is the warship Erebus of the Terran Defense Fleet. Earth lives. Humanity returns." The Xyrix fleet advanced for one final strike, desperate to silence the message. But they were too late. The moon's core reached critical. Energy erupted outward in a brilliant white flare that tore across the sky. The entire Xyrix armada vanished in a single flash of light. The Erebus was caught in the blast, its systems overloading, its hull melting under the power it had unleashed. Inside, Rhea smiled through the shaking and light. "We did it," she whispered. "Welcome home, humanity." Vigil's final response was soft, almost human. "Mission complete. Earth restored. Goodbye, Captain." Then the light consumed them both. When the silence returned, the stars burned quietly once more. The moon was half gone, transformed into glowing debris that shimmered around a blue planet. Earth reborn. Deep within the ruins of Project Eden, the cryopods remained untouched, safe and silent. One by one, their systems began to power up again. The first human child opened her eyes to the dawn of a new world,